I think it's safe to say at this point that Fortnite OG is officially back on top, and it may actually be in the best state that it has ever been in since it released about a year ago. Now, as you guys probably know, OG Season 7 has been out for a few days now in Fortnite, and I want to be clear right away, I intentionally waited before making a video like this. I didn't want to rush out first impressions that aged poorly, because we've seen this happen so many times with OG, where the season launches, it feels great for a day or two or for a little while, and then suddenly everything starts breaking, but it doesn't seem like it's going in that direction. I wanted to actually sit with this season. I played a lot of matches. I wanted to see what people were saying and see if the usual pattern showed up again. And honestly, the more the time goes by, the more confident I feel saying that this might be the best that OG has ever been. Not just because of the fact that we're in Season 7 and it's about to be Christmas time and it's winter and it's snowy. I genuinely think that Fortnite may have perfected the OG launch. Now, one of the first things I want to talk about that I haven't seen many people bring up, and it's probably one of the most underrated things when it comes to OG Season 7, is this little video Epic put out that's basically kind of like an unofficial OG Season 7 trailer, I guess. Even though it's not a traditional like gameplay trailer, we don't really see much actual in-game stuff, I actually think that's what makes it good. This is like one of the most unique trailers that we've ever seen for OG. You see the snow, of course, we see the iceberg, Polar Peak, and it immediately brings you back to that Chapter 1 winter feeling. Going back and seeing all these clips from these old creators, everybody reacting to it for the first time, I remember how insane it felt when just simple snow came to Fortnite, like how different the map felt and how exciting that whole time was. And this goes back to the whole point of OG and how I feel like it was getting a little bit lost. OG was always supposed to be about nostalgia, and this video completely understands that. This little just trailer right here brings people in, it pulls at your heartstrings, and makes a lot of people want to come back and play. At some points when I was watching this, when I watched Lachlan, I used to watch a lot of him, when I saw Courage reacting to it, when I saw Myth, of course, TSM Myth, you guys may not even know who that is depending on when you started playing Fortnite, it genuinely made me feel the same way I did back when OG first launched, when I was, in middle school. Like, Fortnite was special again and made me just so much more excited to hop on OG. So if anybody from Epic is watching this, you guys cooked with this trailer and you need to do more of this. Now, with talking about that trailer and that specific promotion, I wanted to talk about what really stood out to me is how much they were promoting OG this season. Now, even though we didn't get an actual key art for this, we did get a comprehensive layout of things that were coming to the game, what we should expect, screenshots talking about, the Infinity Blade coming out later. That was awesome. That kind of made up for it for me. Now, they tweeted about Polar Peak. They made this tweet today saying the weather outside is frightful, but Polar Peak is looking delightful, and they're posting other real in-game screenshots as well. Now, this may not sound like a big deal at first, but it really is. For a long time, it really felt like OG was something Epic just kind of released to keep the people who are complaining about the OG map quiet and hope that people would play. But this time, and this makes sense because OG Season 7 is one of the biggest pulls when it comes to OG. We all know how big OG Season 7 was, but it feels like they're really acknowledging that this is one of the best times to play Fortnite as well. This is probably the biggest thing on my wish list for OG, and it's really good to finally see it happening when a company or when Fortnite specifically acts like they don't care or like something isn't a very big deal. Then I think that trickles down into the player base as well. Now, I don't know if that's justified. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when Fortnite doesn't really promote things very much, or they're like, they kind of drag their feet with it, it just doesn't really hit the same. And they didn't do that here, which goes to show why it's feeling so good for me in particular. Now, not only is OG Season 7 the most nostalgic, but it's actually going to be one of the most unique for this new permanent OG mode. And this is a massive detail that I didn't catch until before I started recording this when I was researching. It's actually scheduled to last until March 19th, which is that's crazy, bro. That is a long time. That's like 3 months. And that officially is going to make this clearly, very clearly, the longest OG season we have ever had. And you don't do that unless you're confident in what you've put out. Now, this does kind of make sense because OG Season 7 is going to be during, winter time, and then Season 8, which is tropical, is going to be when it's starting to get warmer out. That makes perfect sense. But I do think that March 19th, it couldn't have been they could have done March 1st. First, they could have done, the late February or something like that. But them going all the way through that, I think that says a lot about how much trust they have in this. If Epic thought this season was going to be unstable or maybe controversial, or they knew they didn't put out something that people would like, there's no chance that they would run it this long. And one thing I also want to point out too is, if you guys remember when the OG mode came back out, when it was going to be a new season every month, and then it was going to be a new season every other month, and they kind of stuck to that, and it seems like these OG seasons just get longer and longer and longer, and this may also be because OG Season 7 is going to have a lot of progression throughout the season. We're going to see the snow melting, and we'll talk about this later on in the video, but it does make sense that OG Season 7 would be one of the longest. Now, this is probably the biggest thing and probably the biggest reason why a lot of people are loving this. And we're going to get to the talking about the numbers. The numbers do not lie with this, so just hold out if you're waiting to hear the numbers on it if you haven't seen. But what's honestly shocked me the most is how few issues there have been. The only real glitch I've consistently seen is that shrub glitch on the spawn island. If you guys have played OG, you've probably seen it, these areas where there's just like hundreds of shrubs. And honestly, I think it's kind of funny. That feels like a glitch that would happen back in the day. Not a big deal, something they'll probably fix eventually. We've had that same thing happen before. Even on the main island, it happened I believe that was just last season or season 5 or something like that. But other than that, there really haven't been any glaring problems. Even Jax, who is basically, known for finding OG inaccuracy and issues, he hasn't had much to talk about, which I think is really cool. He said that most of the issues this season are specifically with the map itself and inaccuracies, and a lot of them are nitpicky, and they're going to be issues that not a lot of people would even notice to begin with, unless they're actively comparing it to the old Fortnite. And I think that's really awesome because that's been the biggest harps on OG, and one of the things that immediately kind of sinks every single season is when you load up into it and it's like, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this isn't accurate, this isn't accurate, and you can every single finger on your hand is taken up with an issue. That's a problem, and that puts a bad taste in people's mouth. It just sets a bad precedent for OG, and they completely knocked it out the park with Season 7. Now, the player counts and the numbers absolutely do not lie, and everybody is loving this. I almost just made this a community reaction video, and I may do that a little bit later, guys, so keep a lookout on the community tab of this channel. But at the time that I'm recording this, OG has over 200,000 players just in the builds mode alone. And when you include zero build, that number goes over 250,000. There's almost more than regular Battle Royale builds, which is crazy to think about. It's not people, checking out OG for a day. Oh my gosh, Season 7, yippee, Buller Peak, it's snowing now and it's cold outside. It's actually crazy to think that people are coming on here and they're staying. There's retention here. And ever since it came out, it's kind of been the same. This is the third day. I know it is the weekend at this point now. More people are going to know about it, but I think it's crazy. 200,000 players. That is the first time it's been that big, not including any live events or anything like that, because I'm sure it's gotten over 200K during the butterfly event, the cube spawning, things like that. But this is the first time since February where we've had that many people on just playing the game, and I believe February was Season 2 or 3, so that kind of just goes to show the prestige that Season 7 has right now. Now, after everything OG has been through, and I said this, I made multiple videos talking about OG. A lot of you would probably think I milked it. I just had a lot to say. Epic absolutely had to lock in for Season 7. This is the season where vibes mattered more than anything else. The lighting isn't necessarily right. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Fortnite did say, though, that they're going to try to fix the lighting, but I do believe the fog is there to an extent. It's not exactly the same. In the ambience, we've got the little snowflakes. You've got some of the, the little mist going through the air. They even adjusted the storm visuals, which helps a lot more than people might realize. It finally feels like they're really going back to their roots with Chapter 7, and it feels carefully handled, and a lot of that may be due to OG shutting down for a little bit after Chapter 7 launched. Now, another thing, too, we're going to talk about the actual gameplay, because I played a lot of OG since this season launched, probably more than any other mode, because I love it so much. But one thing I noticed almost immediately is that there are barely any bots anymore. I might see a couple per match, but that's about it. OG used to be absolutely flooded with bots for me, and it ruined so many of my matches. As long as bots stay at a low amount, let me know if you guys are running into a lot of bots. Of course, if you're not a brand new player, then stay out of the conversation. But if you guys have been playing Fortnite for a while, let me know. But if they keep them at a low amount, I think that's completely fine. They don't need to completely remove bots. I understand people who are new to the game are going to want to play OG and see what Fortnite was like in its infancy, but I think that keeping them to a low amount needs to stay that way. I don't want to be flooded with bots anymore. That was something that really ruined OG for me. Honestly, if I could go back, I would have them never add bots. Back in the day, I think it would be much more popular right now than it is, but I digress. The matches actually feel really, really engaging right now, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely sweaty, but I'd rather it be sweaty than me just going up against a bot that, is looking in all different directions and, doesn't build when I shoot at it or something like that. Now, talking specifically about gameplay, I want to talk about something I haven't given much attention on this channel, and that is OG movement. Now, I know some people really still want OG movement and the animations back. I even had someone email me about it. Shout out to you if you're in the audience right now, which I do really appreciate, trying to get me more invested in this OG movement, I guess. And I understand why people want it. I completely respect that perspective, but personally, I do not think that OG needs OG movement, especially now. I was kind of on the fence with it. Maybe animations, I guess, but with how people play now, OG movement would feel very slow and very frustrating to me. The modern movement adds so much fluidity, flexibility, I guess. I don't think OG movement would work in OG nowadays. Like I said, shout out to the dude who emailed me. You guys have a super dedicated like fan base support group around OG movement. I really hope there is a mode at some point where there is OG movement and animations for you guys. The only thing that I really want that's kind of nitpicky is an OG HUD option. We're already seeing Fortnite experiment with legacy options like the hit marker sounds for Chapter 7. They changed them, but they still give you the option to use the OG ones, right? Creative is also showing that HUD customization is possible. If OG had a legacy HUD toggle, that would be incredible. Or if it just like automatically was how it was back in the day, that kind of option wouldn't hurt anyone, and it would make OG feel even more complete. It would be the finishing touch to something that is like nearly perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be exactly how it was, but I would personally love an OG HUD, and I think a lot of people would as well. Now, finally, one of the biggest things is that people are going to keep coming back to OG Season 7 because Polar Peak is still frozen, just like it was back in the day. The Infinity Blade is going to be stuck in the ice, waiting to be released. There is so much anticipation. Of course, Winterfest, we're going to see the snow slowly melt, things like that. There's so much potential to do really cool things across both modes with Winterfest this time, when two of the best modes, like states Fortnite has been in a while, are going on at the same time, and Winterfest is the best time to play Fortnite. But overall, this is the most fun I've had in OG in a really long time. It's polished, it's very intentional, and it actually feels respected as well with the promotion. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Yesterday, I actually just made my first gameplay video in quite a long time, so if you want to go check that out, it's actually kind of solving a mystery. I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please do drop a like. You watched all the way to the end. You must have enjoyed, so drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. I make videos like these every single day. Use code Prozero, not ProzeroYT anymore. I changed it to Prozero in the item shop. You guys have been killing it using my supporter creator code. Thank you so much to everybody who's been using it. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.